past month or so since the virus started, we've talked to the sector quite a lot, but I wanted to get more detailed views from people. So in this little section, we've interviewed and talked to 3 governing bodies to see how they've dealt with the crisis as we are, and see how they're looking forward to as and when things ease up. We've got some real experts: Peter Ackerley from British American Football, Andreas Michaelas from British Wrestling, and also Steve Tabb from England Hockey. All those people give a real good insight into what's going on and what's happening in the sports sector and what they're doing as sports to address the current situation. We're going to speak to Steve Tabb, who's Operations Director at England Hockey, and see how England Hockey have worked through this whole process and looking at planning for the future.
My name is Steve Tabb. I work for England Hockey, have done for the last 4 years. Heavily involved in hockey before I started working for them, club chairman and county chairman as well. Involved in most things grassroots. I'm part of the development directorate. Our role at England Hockey is to grow the game. Sure.
So in terms of COVID-19, how did that hit hockey in its first instance of lockdown and all that sort of stuff?
I guess we're probably lucky as far as sports go, because our season finishes roughly the end of March. So some leagues had already finished, some only had 1 or 2 games to go. Most kind of local competitions have been run as well. So the immediate decisions were quite easy about postponing stuff. Clubs didn't kick up too much of a fuss. There's been a bit of a challenge around how do some leagues get resolved, but ultimately not that many particularly difficult decisions, because there was only 1 or 2 games left to go.
Not in the football Premier League, football
absolutely
league.
We also don't have the money involved in promotion and relegation in those things. So yeah, it's not been easy, but England Hockey has made decisions around its national league, and some of the localised leagues have made their decisions as well. But yeah, it wasn't too difficult to just postpone stuff.
Yeah. So impact on clubs, sort of minimal, or what are clubs finding that they're being impacted on?
I guess the main impact for clubs is around what they do over the summer, both on pitch and off pitch. So if you think about the off pitch stuff, AGMs, awards nights, planning for next season, recruitment, all of those kind of things are obviously difficult.
For sure.
Sides that have been promoted or relegated are keen to get new players in, advertise. A lot of what England Hockey pushes is that over the summer you spend a lot of time doing informal games, getting casual people involved in the sport, non-committal, because it's nicer weather. You can do it in the evenings, that kind of stuff.
Coach as well, coach and referee, coach umpire.
And then a lot of our, particularly coach development, is done over the summer. Umpiring tends to be a panic at the start of the season. Clubs realise they haven't got enough umpires, and so late August through to early October, we do about 65 to 70% of all of our courses for the year for umpiring. In that period, whereas coaching is a lot more over the summer, because all the coaches are active during the season, so they spend the summer doing their CPD.
So what have you done then in this lockdown period in terms of looking at operational wise from England Hockey and looking at that, whatever planning is, and how you're supporting clubs in that?
So I think that the critical first point was just around how to work with clubs to not lose money. That was the first bit. Work out how can you make sure you're not losing money or spending money that you needn't be. So decisions were made as soon as possible about how long to delay stuff for. So we announced very quickly, I think very quickly, that there was no going to be active sport for end of June to start with, and then it's been lengthened out a little bit from there, so that clubs could cancel pitch bookings and all that kind of stuff. We very quickly also then moved coaching CPD online, and that's been a massive success. One of the things one of the things that we've been helped by is that all of our Premier level coaches, so our international coaches, are now have a lot more time on their hands. So
Right.
we've been running roadshows with them where they explain some of their thought processes and stuff like that. So they've been selling out really well.
So that's the sort of the CPD as opposed to the formal qualification element.
Yeah, so I guess the thing from a hockey perspective that may be different from other sports is we've moved away from a qualification framework anyway within our CPD. So we still have some qualifications, and with those we've moved the bits we can online, so that people can start their online portfolios and their evidence tracking, but there will still need to be some physical face-to-face assessment done.
Practical assessment,
I guess what's helped us is that we were wanting to move more stuff informally anyway onto online discussions and things like that, and this has saved us from having to explain to people why we're doing it. So yeah, it's kind of been a bit of a kickstart. We were planning on doing anyway, so that's why it was so easy for us to move everything online. So we have communities of practice, we have workshops, we have lots of video discussion, we have informal stuff, we have paid, we have non-paid. So we moved a lot of that, and we are not hung up on qualifications anyway. So the fact that we've got a lot more non-qualification based stuff happening now,
culture's maybe there that people are already engaged in that process already.
Yeah, plus also thinking ahead to next season,
right,
or the season after, or whatever. Coaches aren't thinking, well, I have to have a qualification in order to coach. So they're happy to spend their time and their money on our informal stuff and our non-qualification based stuff.
There's been quite a bit of stuff on the older demographic of the country not maybe coming out as quickly, so to speak, either with a fear of it or because they are shielded, etc. Has that affected hockey at all?
In terms of
more mature, whether it's on umpiring or whether it's on the volunteering within clubs.
Yeah, so I think one of the concerns we do have is our officiating base. So both umpiring and technical officials is of a slightly older age, and so there's definitely some very low level concern about the fact that we won't be able to support the game as well as we have done historically with neutral appointed umpires and things like that, and
sure.
We will do some communication out to clubs fairly shortly as well to get them to start considering it, of kind of going, who is going to umpire your games next season if the 60-plus-year-olds who normally do it aren't available. So slight concerns. I don't think massive panic at the moment, but
and what does hockey look like? Is England hockey or hockey in England changing because of this, or was it on a path already and looking at everything is online community and all that sort of thing? Was he moving that way anyway, and this is sort of just given a big nudge, or has it changed some of the practice?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say there was always a mindset that we could move towards this stuff, but equally it's a sport, an old-fashioned sport governing body with old-fashioned people involved. So it almost needed something like this to kick the sport up in the air a little bit and get them to think differently. People have always said, "Oh, we could do this, couldn't we?" And they could look at this stuff. But as an organisation, we've had all of our infrastructure has been moved to cloud-based software and technology and stuff. So we were set up for it, and I think it's been nice for certainly the centralised staff to realise that actually they can engage with each other and get on with their work. So we're almost as busy as we've ever been. I guess the bit that's missing a little is we have a network of 13 relationship managers who work around the country, and they go and have face-to-face meetings with clubs and chat with them. So there's been less of that.
For sure.
But they are still having phone calls. They're still doing some online calls and things like that. And I guess that's the next phase of where we're trying to get to. Some of the immediate season stuff is parked now, and some of the stuff we would normally do over the summer is not happening. So we've got a bit of resource to start taking a look at, well, what can we do to support clubs with their current challenges? So advice around, can you hold your AGMs online? Does your constitution allow you to? What do you do if your constitution doesn't allow you to? How do you move your committee meetings online? Yeah, all that stuff really. So that's where we're being able to put quite a lot of focus into is this. Well, I think we've coined a name for a project that we're working on called Let's Stick Together, and it's sort of stick together through all of this. And we're basically pulling a lot of the content we already have, framing it in a COVID environment, and then sharing it with clubs and kind of going, wouldn't now be a really, really good time to do all your safeguarding training? Get loads of your staff or your coaches up to date with safeguarding, because the safeguarding stuff is all gone online. So why don't you do that? DBS checks is a little bit more of a challenge because of the need to see the evidence face to face, but all the training and all that kind of stuff, and think about getting your house in order, that's what we're doing.
I think government have now said on DBS that you can do that virtually. Which is a great move, and I think one or two governing bodies are just struggling with just the administration of that, because they might have moved out their head office or furloughed staff, etc. I think the administrative stuff, I think there's the question around that, but that seems to be how you can get over. So what does hockey look like as and when things come back? Is there any discussions about how do you play hockey social distance?
Well,
in a way?
So Holland have just announced what they're doing. Holland are basically coming out of lockdown, but only for their juniors.
Right.
Because the risk is seen as less for juniors, and outdoor activities obviously lower risk and all that kind of stuff. So they're releasing with their juniors. Whether we'll follow that or not, I think it's unlikely. The Dutch national squads are apparently going back to training, but having to keep 1.5 meters distance between themselves when they're doing stuff. So they'll probably be doing more technical stuff than contact-based stuff. So we don't really know. All I can say is we will consider every option to try and get people back out on a pitch as soon as possible. So even if it's just, you can go and play hockey and get back out on a pitch, but you can't play competitive games because that brings people too close together. But you could go and practice drag flicks, you can go and pass the ball to each other, you can do all that stuff. Obviously there'll probably be more of an impact on the social element, because even though we might play on pitches, it's likely that to start with the clubhouses will be under more pressure of staying closed and showers and all that kind of stuff. So I would imagine it will be a phased return, and will be in different levels of what's allowed and what isn't.
Incredibly difficult to predict, isn't it? And then you're getting into social distancing, spectators and parents watching
I think we had that many
sessions.
Spectators, but maybe not.
Brilliant, good. Anything else that you sort of take from this? In right, how can we grab hold of this as a positive? Is there anything you can grab hold of this as a positive in this context?
Other than I think it is making us just really think about how we engage with all of our members. How do we provide better opportunities for them to do all their development, all their learning? How can we put stuff out there so that obviously hockey's a team sport, and the way our coaching stuff is going is we want people to practice their team stuff when they're together on an AstroTurf. AstroTurfs are not cheap, so actually we try and encourage people to do individual stuff at home, but nobody does at the moment. Mainly because there's no content. So we will definitely look at the way we blend. I think there's absolutely no doubting that face-to-face stuff is good for a lot of things. So we'll look at a blend of how we can use online opportunities. I'm a coach myself, and I will definitely start looking at how can I get extra time with my players next season without needing to book a pitch, without needing to spend time with them, getting cars, drive everywhere. We might just have a weekly half-an-hour session online. So
I think the whole fitness bit, the mental preparation, physical preparation, as well as technical, could be done more individually. And then when you've got, as you say, when you've got the team together, you make use of that. However much a synthetic pitch costs an hour, make it really team based. Secondly, we're talking to Andreas with a small governing body in wrestling, and to see how they're addressing the issues that have come up, and how a full contact sport is possibly going to come out of this situation and how they're planning to get ready for the release of people back into sporting activity.
Hey guys, my name's Andy. I'm from British Wrestling. I'm the development manager there.
Cool, brilliant, good. And how wrestling dealt with the particular situation with us that we've got at the moment?
So what we've been doing as a governing body to help combat what's been going on with the lockdown is we've been trying to support our clubs from the get-go. So from when the week the lockdown started, we divvied up all the clubs that we've got in the country, but not just our affiliated clubs though. We've been trying to get in touch with all the clubs that have lapsed, all the people who are interested in becoming affiliated, and put that to one side to ring up and see how everyone was doing with the with the lockdown, so they could feel like they weren't just being ignored, or that they didn't see us as just this monotone kind of governing body in the corner type of thing, that we actually cared about the clubs, which we obviously do. So we contacted them all via phone. So instead of it just being an email, we one of us in the office gave them a call to check up on them, offering any advice, any support that they needed personally. So weirdly enough, a lot of our clubs have some connections with the NHS.
Okay. So in terms of their membership.
Not even just that. The head coaches would be either surgeons or doctors within the NHS. There's one club in Southampton who both the head coach and his wife work in the NHS.
Okay.
And a club down in London is one of the lead surgeons in London, and he runs a club down there. Yeah. So
what sort of issues were they identifying in terms of that immediate effect of lockdown, etc.?
Was the unknown. So telling their clubs to actually, or not their club members to actually stop coming into the clubs to spread the virus. So we had one club in particular up north who members were still trying to get into the building to work out when they'd shut the club down. So they had to be pretty strict on them, stopping them getting in. So obviously to stop the virus spreading into. Do a lot of wrestling clubs own their own facilities, or are they hiring, or is it a bit of a mixture? It's a huge mixture, weirdly enough. We have some clubs who own their own facilities, had brand new buildings built, some are renting, some are leasing, some are actually working with other sports in their buildings. There's a wide variety of them. Even though we're a minority sport, we seem to be pretty spread around. And are they getting access to the Sporting and Emergency Fund, or? What we've done with the advice and support is we've collated everything onto one web page on our website. So everything from all the home nations, Sport and Recreation Alliance, yourselves, and directed our clubs there for anything specific. One club in particular, because we're working with them to get the flood relief fund from the floods before this happened. Doesn't sound like the apocalypse, does it?
No, not at all. They're more skilled at putting the application in because they've had to go at it with the flood relief fund, haven't they, in a way? Exactly, but problem was the day we had a chat with them about it, they ended up catching the virus. Oh God. So we stepped in as a governing body, rang Sport England to get some support on that side, and we helped put their bid in to support that club while the coach had fell ill with the virus. So we gave them a bit of support. Have they recovered okay? They're still at home, obviously lockdown, but they're still recovering. We've basically told them that get in touch when you're feeling better and up for actually chatting, because obviously they're out of breath and not able to talk very long. So we're just waiting now. And what sort of issues have the clubs got in terms of this period now while we're into lockdown and the potential whatever happens in the future? What are they seeing as their particular issues, or how are they dealing with it? Are they staying connected? How are they staying connected? Those sort of things. Our clubs have gone quite a bit of a variety around that. So one thing that we've recently started doing is with Active Herefordshire, to help keep the clubs connected and actually build on a This Go Can project.
is we're doing an online This Girl Can Wrestle through Active Herefordshire. We're hosting it. We're doing it through our booking system, so we can keep the safeguarding issues under control with how easily Zoom can get hacked. We're doing the bookings. I'll be monitoring the Zoom chat function to make sure anyone who comes in is legitimate. Through the booking system, we'll email out the password to all the people who booked on. To deter people who want.
So how are they doing virtual wrestling then? Because I think social distancing and wrestling don't necessarily go together.
Well, funny thing is, there's a couple of so we've asked Georgina, one of our Commonwealth medalists. She's been the face of it.
Right.
She's done a brilliant job. Like the first one we hosted had the most participants on than the other sports did. So that's a big win for us. She was doing all manners of different types of, like, say, a wrestling sprawl, which is, think, a wrestling version of the plank. Things like that. So like footwork that you can do in your living room, and various different types of wrestling moves that you can do on your own.
So a bit of conditioning and a bit of sort of technical, tactical typey stuff. Yeah. And reaction from the girls and women on there?
They all seemed really positive. So we had a mixture of school children, primary school kids to to mothers as well. Yeah. So and parents and what have you. So that seemed to have been taken really positively.
Yeah. And other things that have gone on. Any little nuggets of things that have been, you think, oh, that's good, I like that.
So we had a club in the Midlands called Impact Fitness doing an online campaign of a sprawl, and who can do the sprawl for the longest. So it's like a plank and whatnot. So a little social media campaign.
We'll be doing sprawl after this, just out of interest, really. Yeah.
And then we've got like Aspel Warriors up in Wigan. They've done when this all started, they started doing an online wrestling workout, which I tried to and failed to keep up. So I'm sticking with my normal little routine in the living room. That'll do me. And
what about the future? What are you sort of seeing? Are they not there yet? What are they seeing? Are they worried about keeping membership, or are they worried about keeping the facilities? What are the issues that they're sort of facing?
So wrestling being a contact sport, we know for a fact that it's going to be a slow uptake coming back. Even with the lockdown is lifted, wrestling's going to be hit hard because it's a contact sport, it's skin to skin. So what we're trying to do right now is plan for how we're going to come out of this on the other end. So we're creating a campaign called back to the mat. So we're looking around two key elements: health and safety and the actual sport and what you'll be doing. So health and safety wise, we're looking around hygiene, cleanliness. So you've seen a wrestling mat before. It's a 12 by 12 meter mat with a plastic cover over it. So how to keep something like that clean and disinfected. Just education. Trying to get some free resources out there that the clubs can download. So things like signage saying don't walk on the mat, because you'll get any old Joe Blogs walking off the street with their the street shoes on and walk onto the mat with it. That will cause all manners of problems if it's not just the COVID virus, it's like ringworm as well. Just because of someone's not knowing that you're not allowed to walk on that.
So actually, it's probably raised awareness of cleanliness and good practice anyway.
So
there is a good thing out of it.
A little bit around that. A little bit around teaching our coaches how to ease people into coming back. So following government guidelines for the latest when the lockdown's lifted. Around periodizing programs, so how to ease people back in, so it's not a full-on wrestling session from the get-go. It's
I think that's going to be particularly for aerobic sports. Just getting people back into that, I think it's going to be really difficult.
And the mental health and well-being around being isolated for so long. When people are given the choice to get out of lockdown, is how they're going to be affected as well. Will they want to leave the house? Will you know? And it's not just the athletes or the wrestlers or the participants; it's also the coaches as well. Because a lot of the time we do forget to look after the coaches. So that's something else we're looking at, is how we can look at the their well-being as well as the participants' well-being.
And anything that you know, in terms of trying to develop the infrastructure or develop the sport while we're in this bit of lockdown period.
Yeah, funnily enough, we've been busier than ever.
Oh, right, okay.
So there's been a couple of things we've been doing in the background to help develop the sport. So wrestling has, we've just revamped all our coach education pathway. So one thing I identified when I joined wrestling was we had a lack of coaches. Same with any sport, to be honest. But reviewing the coach ed pathway, it was overly long. So we had a level 1 over 2 weekends and a level 2 over 3 weekends, which was just too long for volunteers. We've cut that down and streamlined it. We've put the coach ed theory online. So we've created a portal and put all that online with First for Sport. We've been working on supporting the clubs with their governance. So, for example, when you affiliate, you have to have a minimum standard of governance, be it your safeguarding, your first aid, your
constitution,
your constitutions, your coach ed, because we launched an online membership platform last year, and we're using this time now to upskill our clubs, whereas before they didn't have time because obviously they were coaching and training, they didn't have time to learn a system, and now that they do have time.
Exactly. Yeah. So actually, it's putting a lot of good things, and so there's going to be better practice and, in theory, better run clubs when it's coming out of the end of this. Yeah. I mean, any other advantages that you're finding with having the COVID-19 lockdown? You sort of, it's a chance to put things in place, and sports stopped for a while, so there's a chance to put any other sort of, I don't know whether the word is advantages, but you know what I mean. Anything that you're thinking, oh yeah, this is a really good opportunity.
Like we've been able to, say for example, our tutor workforce. We've been able to gather them together and upskill them with yourselves actually. So
right, yes, they are booked on some tutor assessor courses. Yeah.
So we've been able to clean up the coach ed workforce, upskill our internal quality assurance guys. So getting them onto a course. Whereas before we just didn't have the time to organise it, and the logistics around getting everyone together was a nightmare. Whereas because of this virus, we can just get everyone online, which it's been a lifesaver, considering we were getting people from as far as Scotland and Northern Ireland to come all the way down to the north.
Yeah. No, actually, to do it online is cost effective in a number of ways. Finally, I speak to my old friend Peter Ackerley, who used to work for the ECB, the Football Association, and now is Chief Executive of British American Football, and listen to him about how he and the sport are planning different scenarios for the future.
Good morning, Pete Ackerley. I'm Chief Exec of British American Football, as well as holding a myriad of other roles within sport as non-exec and trustees, and a volunteer coach at my local Lancashire League Cricket Club.
And we've probably known each other 20 years.
Yeah, 20 well, yeah, good 20 odd years, 25 years or more. Yeah.
Back with basketball and cricket back in those days.
Yeah.
When you could actually have contact with people and things like that. But so tell me about American football. How did you deal with the lockdown and the closure of any contact, etc.?
Well, it probably came at the worst time for everybody, but we were just absolutely coming to the culmination of our university football season. We were in the midst of pre-season training and practice ahead of our season, which was due to start on the Easter weekend. So it was absolutely at that key time for our game and ahead of a new season.
So American football club-wise is summer, isn't it?
Yeah. Summer for our clubs, and clearly it was coming to the end of the culmination of all of the university season. So it was we made a call. We made call early. We wanted to make our stance early. We made the stance in the middle of the Cheltenham Festival was still going on. It was controversial, I suppose, but yeah, we absolutely reviewed it and looked at the what we felt was the science and the advice and guidance, and given the nature of our sport, we made that call based on, you know, really protecting the safety and well-being of all our players. And at that point, you were looking at let's look at a suspension. It wasn't a cancellation; it was purely suspension. Yeah. And we suspended an initial period, and subsequently we've then enhanced our extended that suspension, and we're now suspended till the end of May, and we're in that point now where we're actively reviewing our next stage and phase of what we do next, given the latest guidance from government, from the science, from what we can do. But at the end of the day, we probably split immediately. We've worked with my board have been incredibly supportive. Our clubs and players have been incredibly supportive. Clearly, immense frustration at not being able to play, and I totally understand that. But we've taken an optimistic view that we want to play football, balanced with the pragmatism of we have to wait until it's safe to play, and not just safe to play, safe to practice and prepare. So there's, I'll go into that a little bit, but really we just split it down into the first thing we had to do was to protect our people, our players, our clubs, our sport, in essence. So we looked at a protection phase, which I guess we're still in, as well as that the next phase being, you know, preparing to play, and what do we do about the scenarios. I've lost count of the number of scenario plans that I've put together so far, but that's important that we do that, and we keep that flexibility of the different scenarios, and getting ready to play. And then so that preparation phase, when it starts, will be incredibly active, getting ready to play. Given our season, ultimately we've got until realistically the end of October for our clubs. Some of that will depend very much on what the universities do.
What's the financial impact then? Because it's a non-professional sport. So what's the impact on the governing body? What's the impact on the clubs and on the universities? Any?
I think in terms of clubs, I suppose the overwhelming feedback from clubs is that if they don't play, because as you say, they're totally amateur in terms of that. So, and they're non-asset owners. Some of them have, you know, long-standing agreements to rent facilities, but in essence, they're non-asset owners. So, you know, it's a massive generalisation. It is a generalisation. If they don't play as clubs, there is no costs incurred to play. So therefore, it's not a nil-sum game, but it's a low-cost impact, and that's been able to, which is where it's really important that we as a governing body now communicate it with a lot of notice to help clubs and teams prepare for whatever it is we do going forward in the short, medium, and ultimately long term. So that's the real key driver for us as a governing body. We are all our total income is from events, competitions, and the bulk is from fees from our members. So a good percentage, not all, had been paid up to the date of lockdown. So we had got a significant amount of fees in. Not all of the fees were in, clearly. But I think at that point, excuse me, my phone's ringing. There we go. That's a perfect one. There we are. Always good line timing. So I think at that point we get to that stage where we've got quite a lot of the funding in. We're not a funded sport by Sport England or government. So, a lot of the scenario plans and that sort of initial protection, it was protecting the governing body and protecting the sport itself. So
do you think it's affecting any of the players? Because clearly the players or the clubs are, because the kit to play the sport is extremely expensive. Is there sort of any impact there on, on players paying out that money and having that kit, or is it, clubs bought that kit, the personal, the helmets, the shoulder pads, the whole caboodle there. Is there any impact there on the clubs or the individuals, do you think?
I think there will clearly be, and we're very cognizant of, there will be some financial and economic impacts on many of our players and their families. So we have to absolutely, whatever scenarios we plan for, have to also think about when we do start to prepare and return to play. There will be not just the health and safety aspects to be considered, but the economic and social impacts as well. So that's very, very important for us to measure. But I think in the main, most clubs and individuals who've got their kit or have bought their kit for use by their players, it can be utilised as and when we do come back. So I think that's a less of an impact. But there clearly is a financial impact on us as a governing body, because we haven't ultimately got all our income in. Clearly, we're not going to take any in, and we have to now do financial scenario planning for if we play some football, if we play a little bit of football toward the end, or we don't play any football at all. So those are the three big, we might get half a season in if we're really, really lucky. Then you start to think, well, we might play a bit less than that. That's then. So, I mean, I've said all along, I think the three biggest things in this protection of our sport base and protection of individuals is absolutely paramount. The safety and well-being of our players and our volunteers and our officials. Clearly, the integrity of the sport and the integrity of the competition. So whatever we do start to play and whatever we do start to try and create, that has to have an integrity of the competition. Has
got to be real, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has to be real. So we have to be cognizant of that. Plus, balance with we want people to play and we want them to have a ball in their hands. So that's important. But the third big point, as in my role, is the financial stability and sustainability of the sport. And that's not just for this season. That's for many seasons to come. So that's the real balancing act of that protection phase, and then moving into the preparation as and when we can start. But we will need, to prepare a set of players to play a full contact season of American football. Flag football would be different. They would be able to start.
You can't really dilute any forms of the game.
No.
Flag football still
the contact. Their preparation phase would be a little less. So strength and conditioning and pre-season preparation for a contact player, 6 to 8 weeks. So whatever date lockdown is lifted, there's then a 6 to 8 week period where players have to prepare, they have to practice, they have to get all their strength and conditioning ready, they have to do their game plans, their playbooks. Then they have to, at the same time, the volunteers have got the devil's own job of organising the facilities, creating the transport. That's if they can move around. So all of these plans are based on not just playing a season or playing some football. What's the sort of play we would be able to do, if at all? So I mean, that's the real challenge and that's the challenge for the players and the clubs.
Have you got any examples of where clubs have kept engaged with their players and members at all? Obviously there's loads of Zoom conditioning sessions going on. Is that the sort of thing that is happening in American football as well? Any other sort of imaginative approaches that have been taken?
Yeah, I think the use of technology has been phenomenal. And the one thing that I absolutely the passion and commitment of our players and our clubs is immense. And their coaches are doing a lot of CPD. Our Coaches Association are doing online tutorials and CPD workshops where we're looking at the players in terms of preparation, getting their playbooks and arguably spending probably more time than they would ordinarily doing that. So it's a big helpful there. Clearly, the fitness element is they can do an element of fitness and preparation. They can only do what they can do. But what I'm seeing is incredible works in their local communities. They're engaging with each other. They're keeping themselves engaged through, as you say, through various social media platforms. But the important thing is that it is that sticking together and ensuring we've had various competitions for our young players, designing shirts. We've had so we've had one of our organizations has helped us do that. Was going to get the shirt made up and for the winners, and it's just been incredibly
Yeah.
In adversity, you sort of see everybody come together and stick together. And I suppose it's like anything else. The next phase is going to be the important part about how much, if any, football we will be able to play. And
I don't think there's going to be a date that says switch, is there? It's just
that's the hard part.
Difficult.
We can't just flick a switch and go, we go back to what was normal. And the one thing that I just say all the time, I don't think we're going to go back to whatever normal was. I think it will be a new normal, and that gives us a great opportunity. And amidst every challenge, there's always an opportunity. So we're now looking at this as we've engaged with our volunteer base, a number of people that have come out and offered to volunteer to support. Not just in their clubs, but across the game. So we're looking at a whole range of opportunities to support our clubs in terms of supporting how their club structures are, how their people are trained, safeguarding and welfare issues, just trying to create, all the off-field, development stuff around people and places and the workforce that you probably, in the midst of a playing season, it's harder to do. Whereas now we've almost got, because
the playing bit is the essential bit, isn't it?
Of course, but it just gives us an opportunity to, and that's one of the things that we're doing currently, is preparing a whole range of activities for our clubs in this period where they're not playing, to really start to look and develop themselves so that they're more sustainable financially and structurally to when we come out the other end.
I think that's a real opportunity for clubs to really do the stuff that they never get time to do because they've got to get players on the pitch or people in the pool or people on the court.
And I think that's a really
real
important
opportunity to change that.
And it gives probably it's that once every a generation longer that gives you a chance to get all those plans and those processes, and it gives us the same, because we're I say we, there's only me as an employee, but the board and the volunteer structure staff is given us a great opportunity to really look at everything we do, how we do it, getting those plans in place, and being really focused on what do we want to look like in terms of our strategic context and how that looks for the next 5 to 10 years. Now, clearly, our energies are focused right now and immediately on how do we get through this next short-term period. But at the same time, keeping an eye on that, well, what are we going to look like? What are the scenarios we could look like? And, what does new normal? And I think that's important across the whole sports landscape. We've got an incredible opportunity. How many times have you and I had that late night bar conversation of the structure of sport in Britain? Let's look at that. And now is any time to do that. It's a real opportunity.
I think the great thing about American football is it's got a winter and a summer season with a club and a university season. And actually, I think what it gives up sports opportunities to go, oh, have we really got an opportunity to change this? And actually, it might also fundamentally change the whole summer and what goes on in sport during the summer. I don't think we'll do much this year, but I think it's got sports thinking. And there will be some entrepreneurial and imaginative approaches to it. Just I know that you're still, like me, volunteering to other areas, and you're still involved with football and cricket, and you're still coaching as well. What about that then? How's it affected you in your cricket and football? What's the sort of noise coming out of those sports?
Well, I think
the county and at the national level.
I think at grassroots level, I think soccer, as I have to call it, football is American football. The round ball soccer game.
You've changed.
Oh yeah, indeed. But that's now that point of they probably did the right thing. Right, that's the end of that. Forget the Premier League. That's a whole different level of. That's business, and it's a huge business. But in terms of grassroots soccer, you call an end to it, and then you start to look forward about when that can start. And I'm already seeing, from some of the organisations I'm involved with, some really imaginative ways of engaging with their players in the same way that our American footballers. I think that's been consistent across cricket and football and soccer. I think everybody's doing that, realising there's lots of innovative ways you can stay engaged.
Sure.
From skills challenges to all sorts of manner of charitable challenges and so on. So that's been really good to see. My local cricket club, it's right at the start, similar season to American football. players done all their preparation indoors. They're just about to go outdoors and start practicing. So, we've just done a few simple things that, in the garden or in the driveway or in the backyard, and said, here's some things you can do. And we've just posted it on our Twitter feeds at the club and our websites and Facebook, and just said, look, here's some things, some real simple practices that you can do. And one of the things that I would say, a lot of the pro clubs, governing bodies, coaches generally, social media has become, and digital space has become an incredible source of different things to do. And it's just not about it's not about being the best, or we've got a great one, or ours is more followers than you. It's just, there's so much out there. Take it, use it, and just keep engaged. And I think that's, for us, is the real important thing. It's engaging with our players. And our clubs are doing a phenomenal job. Our coaches association have been immense. Our referees association, they've done all of their rule changes online and virtually, the rule changes, engaging with what those new rules were for now going forward. So it's been a chance to engage massively with our workforce, but also with our clubs and with our players.
And I think it's changing how people behave. I mean, you go back to American football, and actually, I think people get into this whole team discussion on social media or on whatever Zoom teams, go-to meeting or whatever it is. I actually think going forward, it's going to be really, really good, because I think team meetings can be held in this way in the voluntary sector. I think there's a whole new approach that can be taken. There's so much free stuff, which is great now. And I think
that's right. And people thinking for themselves. I think what you realise now is just actually how much innovation takes place out there that you don't ordinarily see.
Completely.
And I think a conversation I was having with one of my clubs and general managers and head coaches was, how difficult sometimes it is when they have a meeting at the club. Forget these guys who've worked all day, they've got young family at home, and then they're going, I've got to go out to a meeting down at the club, or I've got to go for a meeting of the committee. And actually, instead of taking an evening out of their life, they've just got to nip upstairs, go in the office, or jump on the laptop, and it's done quicker, it's done easier, and it's not had as big a disruption to everybody's life.
No, and everybody can do it. Yeah.
So I think that's going to be important. We've been having a couple of virtual pub meetings with various people, on a Friday, and I think that's an important thing. And just quizzes. There's been a whole range of different things, and some of our social media platforms in American football, they've been incredible. They've just got out there and showing from competitions to old games to just sharing information. And I think we're not alone in this. It's not just here, it's across the globe. So the community has suddenly, not suddenly, but has shown itself to be as close as it is. And I'm finding that the same, just locally, people are getting out, they're exercising, there's a lot, people seem to be getting on a lot better. I'm very, very lucky. I live out on top of the Lancashire hillside, and I'm away from a big town, so it probably feels a little bit different, but but I think there's definitely a change in behaviours of generally, without a doubt.